Hello and welcome to VLearn Virtual Learning Network. This is session number 21, an introduction to rhetoric and structure of language to literature. Topics to be covered in this session are examples of rhetoric, an appeal to emotions, elevation of style, organization, structure. So let us start with the introduction of this particular topic, that is rhetoric, with example. Rhetoric is derived from the Greek word rhetor, which means an orator or a public speaker. The term generally refers to persuasive or impressive speech or writing, that is, the use of language which is designed to persuade or sway or move people. It may sometimes be more eloquence or exaggeration, lacking substance and sincerity. When used with such implications, it is a derogatory term. Rhetoric के बहुत सारे अलग अलग मीनिंग्स निकलते हैं to different people. For example, Wayne Booth in his book The Rhetoric of Fiction discusses the different ways in which the novelist gains control over his reader's imagination. So we can say there are a lot of terms that describe rhetoric. It is often used nowadays to refer to discourse of a particular kind built up for or against an idea or person or ideology. So here what is we are going to study is an example so that you can understand it better. You can look at the following paragraph, which are a part of speech given by Pandit Nehru when Mahatma Gandhi died. So I'm going to read this paragraph so that you can understand. It was a broadcast from All India Radio on 30th January 1948, the day Gandhiji was shot dead. So he said these words. I'm going to read it just now so that you can understand with an example of rhetoric. It starts from: Friends and comrades, the light has gone out of our lives and there is darkness everywhere. I do not know what to tell you, how to say it. Our beloved leader, Bapu, as we called him, the father of the nation, is no more. Perhaps I am wrong to say that. Nevertheless, we will not see him again as we have seen him for these many years. We will not run to him for advice and seek solace from him. That is a terrible blow, not to me only, but to, you can say, millions and millions in the country. And it is a little difficult to soften the blow by any other device that I or anyone else can give you. The light has gone out, I said, and yet I was wrong. For the light that shone in this country was no ordinary light. The light that has illumined this country for these many years will illumine this country for many more years. And 1,000 years later, that light will still be seen in this country. And the world will see it. It will give solace to innumerable hearts. For that light represented something more than the immediate present. It represented the living, the eternal truths, reminding us of the right path, drawing us from error, and taking this ancient country to freedom. So these were the words given from Jawaharlal Nehru's speech. It was Publication Division, Government of India, New Delhi. Now, if we are going to study this speech, what has Pandit Nehru said in this part of speech? We can rewrite it like this also. My countryman Mahatma Gandhi is dead and there is darkness everywhere. We shall not be able to go to him for advice anymore, but in fact he will continue to guide us for many more years because he represented the eternal truth, showed us the right path and led us to our freedom. This version, even though it says the same thing, does not perform the function that Pandit Nehru's speech does. If it fails to move, you can say, ये इस तरीके का अगर वर्जन हम यूज़ करते हैं तो ये वो काम नहीं कर पाएगा क्योंकि ये वैसे रिप्रेजेंट नहीं कर पाया. It fails to move us in the way Nehru's speech does. Nor does it give an idea of Gandhiji's greatness. साथ साथ में हमें गांधी जी की ग्रेटनेस के साथ साथ बहुत चीज़ों का पता चला. नाउ व्हाट डू यू थिंक ब्रिंग्स अबाउट दिस डिफरेंस? इट इज़ डिफरेंस इन द टू स्टाइल्स. बात दोनों की वही है, दोनों बातों को हमने एक ही मीनिंग कन्वे किया जा रहा है, सिर्फ रिप्रेजेंट करने का जो स्टाइल है वो डिफरेंट है. दोनों में यही डिफरेंस रहा कि देयर इज़ अ डिफरेंस बिटवीन द टू स्टाइल्स. नेहरू स्पीच इज़ अ पीस ऑफ रिटोरिक. द वर्जन वी हैव प्रोड्यूस्ड इज़ ऑर्डिनरी प्रोज. जो हमने बताया वो एक ऑर्डिनरी प्रोज था, बल्कि जो नेहरू जी की स्पीच थी वो एक कंप्लीट रेटोरिक पीस था जो मूव करने में किसी को भी बाय हार्ट बहुत बड़ा इंपॉर्टेंट रोल प्ले करता है. सो द अल्टीमेट थिंग इज बोथ द थिंग्स आर सेम बट द डिफरेंट स्टाइल लीड टू द डिफरेंट इमोशंस. सो यू कैन से एन अपील टू इमोशंस, इट लीड्स टू द अपीलिंग टू आर इमोशंस. सो यहाँ पर इन लाइन्स में जहाँ नेहरू ने कहा यू विल एग्री दैट द फॉलोइंग एक्सप्रेशंस must have had an emotional appeal for the Indian listeners. Friends and comrades, the light has gone out of our lives. Our beloved leader, Bapu, as we called him, the father of the nation. 1,000 years later, that light will still be seen. It represented the living, the eternal truths. So these lines were appealing to our emotions in a good way and much better manner than our ordinary prose. Now about elevation of style. Another feature you will notice in rhetorical speeches or oratory and in rhetorical writings is what we may call an elevation of style. Now what does that mean? It means that the style has a kind of grandeur or dignity about it that raises it above the level of ordinary speech or writing. So यहाँ पर फ़र्क आता है एक स्टाइल का, क्योंकि इस स्टाइल में एक ग्रैंडियर है, एक डिग्निटी कैरी करता है जो उसे एक ऑर्डिनरी स्पीच या राइटिंग से बहुत ऊपर ले जाता है. यू probably included the following expressions in your list, like an ordeal of the most grievous kind, many long months of strong struggle and sufferings, with all our might, with all the strength that God can give us. These were the words which can lead to the एलिवेशन ऑफ स्टाइल. एक और बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट फीचर जो रहता है रिटोरिक का, दैट यू हैव नोटिस इन रिटोरिकल स्पीचेस, इज द वे दे आर ऑर्गेनाइज्ड. इनका ऑर्गेनाइज करने का, प्रेजेंट करने का स्टाइल जो है वो बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट रहता है. ये एक बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट नोटिसेबल फीचर है रिटोरिकल स्पीचेस का. दे आर ऑर्गेनाइज इन अ वेरी गुड मैनर. देयर इज यूजुअली एन इंट्रोडक्टरी पार्ट एंड एट द एंड देयर इज समिंग अप ऑफ कंक्लूजन. आपने फेमस स्पीच, नेहरू की स्पीच में भी आपने देखा कि कैसे उन्होंने बिगिन किया विद अ स्टेटमेंट अबाउट द ओकेजन ऑफ द स्पीच. उन्होंने पहले स्पीच के लिए फ्रेंड्स, कॉमरेड्स, उन्होंने ओकेजन ऑफ द स्पीच के अकॉर्डिंगली स्टेटमेंट से स्टार्ट किया. बट द सैड न्यूज़ इज कम्युनिकेटेड, द नेशन एंड द लॉस इज एम्फोसाइज. सैड न्यूज़ जो है वो कम्युनिकेट किए जाता है और उसके बाद लॉस जो है वो एम्फोसाइज किया गया. देयर इज हाउएवर द कंसोलेशन दैट गांधी जी विल कंटिन्यू टू गाइड ह्यूमैनिटी even after his death, because he represented eternal truths. उन्होंने अपनी डेथ के बाद भी बहुत इम्पोर्टेंट काम एक गाइड किया ह्यूमैनिटी को, because he represented the moral truths and eternal truths. The last sentence of the second paragraph sums up the lasting contribution Gandhiji made to human thought, ethics and moral conduct. So few more things that we are going to study about here about the rhetorical style is its structure. In previously we introduced the subject of rhetoric. Organization we have studied in the proper sequence it should be, and the language of the kind of discourse. Now the gestures and body language also important for this particular rhetoric way. That is mainly because an orator conveys his message not only through his words but also through gestures and postures. Gestures and postures are thus a part of a style of speaker. So any good speech or a piece of writing has to be properly organized. That is, it must have a structure. You know from your past experience that lack of organization leads to confusion, and the speech or writing fails to make an expression or an impression on the listeners or the readers. सो सिंपल प्लान जिस तरीके से इसका स्ट्रक्चर फॉलो होता है एक नॉर्मल रिटोरिक का, उसमें सबसे पहले इंट्रोडक्शन, देन द स्टेटमेंट ऑफ द केस, देन द प्रूफ इन सपोर्ट ऑफ द केस एंड देन द कंक्लूजन. अगर इसको एक्सपैंड करके देखें, स्लाइटली एक्सपैंडेड वर्जन देखें इस प्लान का, तो इसमें सबसे पहले इंट्रोडक्शन, देन नरेशन, देन प्रोपोजिशन और एक्सपोजिशन, फिर डिविजन करेंगे हम टॉपिक का, देन वी विल गिव प्रूफ और कंफर्मेशन, देन रेफ्यूटेशन एंड देन लास्ट इज कंक्लूजन. So when we are talking about introduction, here the speaker or writer draws the attention and arouses the interest of his audience with the promise of important things to follow. He addresses the listeners or the readers directly, drawing them into a personal relationship between them. For example, Mark Antony in Shakespeare's play Julius Caesar begins his speech like, "Friends, Romans, countrymen, lend me your ears." नेहरू जी ने भी अपनी प्रेसिडेंशियल एड्रेस जो करी स्पीच एट द 50th सेशन ऑफ इंडियन नेशनल कांग्रेस एट फेसपुर इन December 1930. It was like that only. Comrades, 8.5 months ago I addressed you from this tribune, and now at your bidding I am here again. So a lot depends on the ingenuity and personality of the speaker. It is however important that the speaker creates a favorable impression about himself and arouses interest. So you have seen introduction plays a very important role. It a lot depends on the ingenuity and personality of the speaker, and it is however important that the speaker creates a favorable impression about himself and arouses interest. So next thing that is important in structure is narration of facts. The narration of facts is generally more important in judicial discourses, जैसे कि जो डिलीवर होते हैं in a court of law. It may not however be ruled out even in other fields like physical sciences, social sciences, humanities or commerce. The narrative however must always be brief, clear and convincing. Next one is proposition or exposition. The issue under discussion, the problem or the major concern of the speech must be stated briefly and clearly. Division of the topic की बात करें तो topic has to be divided into major concerns of the oration. It is generally agreed that there should not be more than 3 major concerns or issues for discussion in one discourse. The greater the number of issues, the greater will be the chances of confusion. The division will help the listener or reader to keep track of the speaker's or writer's progress in the course of this discourse. Next thing which comes in this version is proof or confirmation. यहाँ रहता है core of the speech, जहाँ आप अपनी बात का indirect evidence देंगे, एक जो आप probability है जिस बात पे आप argument कर रहे हैं उसका यहाँ पे आप confirmation देंगे. So we can say that this is the core of the speech. The orator marshals all the facts in his favor, evidence or of witness, indirect evidences, arguments on the basis of probability. Classical rhetoricians advocated that these be arranged in a military formation. Strong ones coming first, the weak ones sheltered in the middle, and the most powerful ones defending the rear. Hugh Blair, an 18th century English rhetorician, suggested that arguments should advance towards a climax. उन्होंने कहा कि arguments जो हैं वो धीरे धीरे climax की तरफ लेकर जाते हैं. Next thing which is important for this is refutation. Here the orator answers the arguments made or likely to be made against him. They may also refute the arguments of his adversary by exposing the latter's intention or his character or the verdict of others against him. And at the last, it is the conclusion that matters. In the last part of the discourse, the writer or speaker generally does 3 things. What are those 3 things? जो last में एक writer या speaker को करना होता है. सारे मेन पॉइंट्स को सम अप करना ज़रूरी है. ही सम्स अप बाय enumerating the main points. उसके बाद ही impressively affirms or emphatically states his position or findings. Judicial oration में he appeals to the tender feelings of the judge and the audience by arousing pity or indignation in them. And he laments his ill luck and goes on to show that he will be brave and patient in his adversity. Cicero, the Roman consul, orator and writer, pointed out that a good orator would not linger over this portion of speech because a tear is quickly dried, especially when shed for the misfortunes of others. And along with that, there is a style that matters. Style may be defined as the manner in which things are said or written. The choices that a speaker writer makes as far as elements of language are concerned, words, phrases, clauses, sentence types constitute the personal style and manner of expression. There has always been a debate between those who believe that style and content are very important and they are inseparable, and others who believe the two and to be not only separable but also separately describable. Now more and more scholars tend to agree that language performs several functions and that depending on the particular function, use or effect one has in mind, one manipulates the elements of a language. The manipulation of a language by a speaker, narrator, author or orator constitutes his or her style. There are three things that is important for the style is decorum, and decorum is a chief element of the style. The other important elements are directly or indirectly contributes to decorum: the purity, clarity and ornament. So decorum, we can say it's referring to the quality of appropriateness. How much in daily life we always change our tone of voice, gestures, not to speak of the words to fit an occasion and the person we are talking to. And along with that, clarity helps intelligibility. Any confusion in expression leads to vagueness and ambiguity, and this the speaker or writer must avoid at all cost. Purity refers to language. The language of discourse should be correct. It should not have errors of grammar or usage. Ornament provides decoration. It may sometimes give us an impression of superficiality, but neither in life nor in discourse need it always be so. The figures of speech, that is the use of words in a ways other than their ordinary meanings to make word pictures or comparisons. So they are a part of silent language. So these figure of speech, metaphors, simile, personification, hyperbole give force and variety to one's expression. So such figure of speech constitute ornament or adornment to the passage or the speech. And that is all about this rhetorical devices and the structure and style. Now we are going to do some questions here that you have to do it yourself. You have to prepare an 80 lines of speech showing the rhetoric part. How much you can present it, how well you can follow the whole structure and the style, which is important. And then you have to find all the structural elements in the passage that you have used, whether you have used all the structures, introduction, narration, proposition, exposition, division of the topic, proof or confirmation, refutation and conclusion in your passage or not. So that is all about the session. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Happy learning. We learning.